Hey, welcome to Wolf's Watch. I'm Wolf. How are you doing today? Look, we got something big. We're talking about inflationary times, right? Recessionary times, economic uncertainty just surrounding you. Here's something to consider: perspective. I'm not talking about personal perspective. No, your perspective is huge. What's going on up here in between the ears. That is very, very important, as you know. As you know, this is perspective in terms of being in your customer's shoes. And we've talked about it a little bit. This is a different aspect of it, yet another aspect of it. And I'm going to share a story that I heard. This is kind of a throwback Thursday today. So I was listening to someone tell a story from way back in the day, and it would have been like the 1980s, in how they were in a meeting where someone was bragging about they had secured some major Hollywood talent for a commercial that they were going to film. And this person said they just, laughed out loud, couldn't help it, laughed out loud. And a very famous director, you think, oh, wow, you know what? That is going to be one cool video, one amazing commercial, probably win a lot of awards. He's an Academy Award winning director. And so the person that had proudly stated, this is who we're secured for this. And this is coming from a big box company. Company has billions of dollars in value and revenue. And very proud of this. You're going to pay a ton of money, right, to get this kind of talent. And it's like, why do you find that so funny? It's like, well, what does that person know about selling, especially selling your product? And went on to describe, here's what you need. You need somebody that's got the sales grit. And he provided an hysterical description, though very accurate, of an old time salesperson, and that person would be better at creating an advertisement that could actually sell this other person's products, because they understood the process. What do you have to go through? What works in the real world, for one thing, what works face to face, in order to create a compelling TV commercial, to film a TV commercial, and that person would also have the management knowledge of how to hire the people that can run the cameras, do the editing, all of that stuff. Doesn't need to know the technical aspects of how to make the commercial, manufacture the commercial, but understood what was the perspective that needed to go into having a successful sales device, which is what an advertisement is. It's a sales device. Here's another more contemporary example. Have you been in a restaurant lately where you see somebody? I'm watching for your comments, right? This is live and interactive, 21st century television. Have you been to a restaurant where you've had a QR code on your phone to order? How many people can actually order using the QR codes? How many cell phones are actually set up to be able to transact, to be able to order and transact using a QR code? Now, there's certain phones, like iPhones, were very, very early in making that possible. Who is this for the convenience of? Who is this for the convenience of? Does that make it easier from a business standpoint? Because, hey, you know what? They've got, why buy? So one restaurant, use three examples. One restaurant has people come in and they just hand them, they say, here, order by QR code. It's the only way to order. Everybody that comes in after they're already seated in the restaurant. Okay. That's one restaurant. Another restaurant has like pads, right? Like iPads to tablets to order from at all of their tables. That's pretty cool, right? That's pretty cool. Third example, I'm going to throw in a fourth bonus. Third example, you walk in and it's all automated. There's no people. You order either through like a vending machine kind of thing, where there's buttons to push to select the options, or you place an order and they use voice recognition to pick up the order. They confirm the order. You go to your seat. You have a robot comes out and delivers it to you, goes back. You never interact with a person. Fourth is you come in, you're given a menu. You're given the option to use the QR codes that are embedded in the menu for your convenience. Which would you want to eat at? Now, there's some other caveats in there too, right? Depends on what type of business you're running. We're seeing fast food businesses, fast food restaurants starting to automate to the point that they're using robots. You never have to interact with a person at all your entire visit. Okay, that's that's over here on the let's do this over here. It's over here on the commodity end of the restaurant world. Is that where you live as a business owner? Or you do want to have a commodity? Do you want to compete in the commodity world? Do you want to compete with Walmart and Amazon? Think about that. If you're in a commodity mode where you're looking at base price, cheapest possible to them, cheapest possible for you, so you can make a profit in it. It's usually pretty low margin, right? Usually you're looking at maybe 1.35% margin on stuff like that. It could be higher, but typically commodity is the lowest margin and it's very price sensitive. So no customer loyalty, advertising. There's a lot of churn on customers. So your advertising expense, your customer acquisition expense, which is a key metric, right? Key metric to watch, goes through the roof because you're constantly bringing in customers. Even worse, lifetime value, pretty much non-existent because there's this huge customer churn, right? So customer acquisition paired with low lifetime customer value, not a good place to be. Hope you got a lot of equity to eat in order to fund the losses you'll have with that. So that's on the pure automation. Let's go back to the other three. Here's something that's been seen. I've listened to some people talk about this. Go in a restaurant, got three people going to a restaurant. They've got the QR codes. There's a good age range between them. They're all reasonably tech savvy. The younger ones are a little bit more up on it. So one of them, and of course one of the younger ones, is able to successfully order on the QR codes. The other two are having troubles because it's not working with their phone. It's very frustrating. Need to ask for for a menu. Finally work it out. The person that is serving them is frustrated. It's taking longer just to get the order in after they've been seated during a busy time. Whew. Is that the kind of experience you want as a customer? As a business owner, is that the kind of experience you want your customers to have? Right? So how much business is lost because there's that one super slick, high-tech, look at us, how cool this is option that only those that are early adopters of technology can really successfully use. Is that where you live? Is that your market niche? If it is, that's great. That's great. It'd actually be a plus from a marketing standpoint. If people come in and they're offered, using the restaurant example again, if they come in and they're offered a menu, for their convenience, they could use a QR code. Everybody's served. Everybody comes in, they sit down. It's simple. It's easy for the customer. Now I missed it. Let me back up a step. The one with the pads, having tablets to order, that's pretty cool. That can be a little bit of technology challenge, but for the most part, easy to move through, right? Because you're just tapping the screen. So it can eventually it's low support level to be able to help someone that's struggling with a tablet to get the order in. Thing is, it's probably pretty expensive, right? Based on experience I've had with implementing changes in companies, you're probably looking at a minimum of $100,000 just in the implementation cost, just getting everybody used to it, getting it working, getting software talking with each other. Do you have to have a new point of sale system? Does that tie into your accounting system? What do customers think? Do you have to redo your menu? How do you implement changes? If you have a price change, if you add or subtract something from the menu. So it adds some complications, but it's pretty slick. So here's the perspective. What is it that works best for your customer? Here's the perspective. This is the big thing. The big idea for this episode is, how do you make it as simple as possible and as easy as possible for your customers to give you their money? Right? From their perspective, what is the easiest way to get what they want from you? You've got food. They're using the restaurant as an example, right? They're hungry. You've got food they like, probably a regular. They enjoy coming there. They come in, they sit. So make it as easy as possible to get that food ordered and paid for. And that doesn't relieve the service factor, the total customer experience. And you don't want to have a bunch of hiccups with it's easy to order the food, but you got to wait an hour. One of my favorite restaurants in Chinatown in Los Angeles, family-run restaurant. My wife and I, actually, my wife knew the couple that founded it, and they were written up in local, newspapers in this area, regional superstar in a sense. And when she worked downtown LA, she got in the habit of eating there. Got to know them. When we started dating, I met them, so we would go there on a regular basis. Well, they had new leadership take over, and it became a thing where you had to wait a long time. They were always pretty busy. They moved to a new location from where they were, right into the heart of the restaurant activity in Chinatown. So they were even busier. It took longer to get a table. Problem was, once you ordered, it was a minimum hour, no matter, and this proved to be, no matter how busy they were, it was a minimum hour to get the food on the table. Eventually, we stopped eating there. It just wasn't working because it was like 2 hours minimum. That didn't count eating time. What we were finding is 2 hour, not 2 hours. So we were like, going, wow, the customer experience changed, even though we liked the people, the family that ran it. We liked um the food. Oh gosh, it was great food. That's a whole nother story for another time. It just wasn't worth it anymore because it was an hour drive. Unless you're working right in the area, right? It's an hour drive to get there, to get to the restaurant, and a minimum 2 hours at the restaurant just to get seated and get the food. Because usually you had half hour to an hour wait to get seated, and then it would be 45 minutes to an hour and a half was the range of times. It averaged about an hour to get the food on the table. And it's like, man, oh man, it's looking at 5 hours for the dining experience. So customer experience, it's the perspective of what is convenient for them. So particularly look at the QR code versus the tablet ordering system in a restaurant. You order on QR codes, you order on a tablet. Who's that convenient for? The QR code is convenient for the business, right? Makes it easier. Don't have to pay for tablets, right? Let use the customer's technology. They come in, they use their technology. But does that work? How many customers can't do that, won't do that? Right? There's some customers, I'm one of, I'll be honest, I'm one of those. I wouldn't order with the QR code, even if my cell phone was set up for it, because I don't want all the marketing stuff that I know is going to come afterwards from the restaurant. I want to eat. I want to enjoy it. If I want your newsletter, I'll go online and sign up for it. So you can email me coupons. I don't want it coming to my phone. So I won't order with the QR code. So how much business are they losing because of that? People that aren't eating there as often are stopped eating there, looking for other options because it's a hassle. How many people that are new to the restaurant that really would have loved the food and the service, but never got to that point because they look and go, oh, QR codes, we're just not messing with that. It's like, we don't have time. Let's go somewhere else. Or I just don't want to do that. Let's go. There's plenty of options. There's plenty of options around. So think about that. The perspective. How put yourself in your customer's shoes. How can you make it as easy and simple as possible for them to give you their money? Thanks for joining us for Wolf's Watch today. I'm Wolf. And, if you want to hear more, if you want more information, feel free to reach out to me at info@adventureceo.com. Again, that's info@adventureceo.com. This is Wolf's Watch, brought to you by Adventure CEO. And again, I'm Wolf. Appreciate you being here, being part of the conversation. Love hearing your comments during the live broadcast, but also, following up and continuing the conversation with you afterwards through the comments. And I look forward to seeing you on the trail.